Hey folks, I'm Tom Basso. Welcome to Week in Review. Week in Review is a video where we take a look at all the different reviews that we did last week. And if you don't have time to watch all them, you can just watch this video. We'll give you short clips, what we think of each of the games. And then, if you want to see more, you can go check out the full review. Let's get started.
This week, Tom and I were able to do 2 Miami Dice reviews, just the 2 of us. And the first one was for Blood Bowl, the highly anticipated, long-awaited reboot from Games Workshop. And it was a pretty neat game. I really enjoyed it. The models are great, as usual, and they're easy to put together. They're not very difficult at all. You don't even have to use glue if you don't want to. So that's a very cool thing. Go check out our Miami Dice Blood Bowl review. Then we also did a Miami Dice for Star Wars Destiny, the new dice game that's coming out from Fantasy Flight. So they have some starter boxes, and it's going to be a collectible type game. Wasn't so hot on that, but it is kind of fun. It's very simple, but go check that out as well. And then there are 2 other Miami Dice reviews that we did this week, but these were with Z, and they are basically a spoiler review of Spyfall, and then a spoiler-free review of Spyfall, and we give our final thoughts about Spyfall in those, so go check that out. Then I also did a review for Carcassonne's Carcassonne, the Star Wars Edition Expansion 1. Probably the least flamboyant name for an expansion ever. But it's a neat little expansion, kind of almost a micro expansion, adds a new player, color, and with Kylo Ren, and a new faction comes along with that, the New Order, and then some new weapons, lightsabers and blasters. So go check that out. Pretty neat. I also did a review for a Japanese game from Gift 10 Industry called Mask of Anubis. Now, Mask of Anubis is a really neat concept that uses a set of VR goggles that you have to put together. It comes as a cardboard little piece-together thingy. You could probably use your own VR goggles if you had them. But you slip your phone down into them, and one person is going to be looking through the goggles, looking into the maze of the Tomb of Anubis, and trying to describe the maze that's in there, and the other people in the game are trying to put together the maze on the board with the little pieces that come with the game, based upon the instructions of the person that's looking through the goggles. And each person has a time to look into the goggles, and you piece all those together. Hopefully you did. You got it right. Hopefully you didn't. Maybe you didn't, and you have to do it again. It's really an interesting thing. You got to check out the video so that you can understand what I'm talking about, but check that out. I also did a review for Power Grid, the card game. Now, I really enjoy Power Grid, the big version with the board and everything like that. I really enjoy that. This one takes the economic market out of Power Grid and makes a card game, puts it in a card game format. So maybe you'll like that, maybe you don't. I wasn't really on board with it. But check out the review for my final thoughts, my complete thoughts. Then I did a review for Argo, a new game that just came out at Essen 2016 from Flatline Games. It's a collaboration between Bruno Feduti and Serge Laget, where you are trying to get astronauts off of the space station that's being attacked and invaded by aliens, and you're trying to get the most points from everybody else, but then at the same time you also have to get more points than aliens do. It's possible for the aliens to win and everybody else loses. So it's got an interesting concept, an interesting idea. I don't know if they implemented it well, so go check that out. Please do so. I think you might like it, maybe you will, I don't know, but that's it from me. See you on the flip side.
Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. Last week we put out a new Blender with a little bit of a Halloween twist. Go check that out. We also put out a Best of the Month video, which I edited, so check that out as well. And then 3 reviews. I did one with Sam and Tom for Spyfall. There's actually 2 reviews there. The one final review, an overall thing you can go watch, spoiler-free. One of them is spoiler-free, so go check that out. And I ultimately thought the game was just pretty much ho-hum. It's not that I found very interesting or engaging, and the promise of more there was captivating, but ultimately, for me, did not pay off. I also reviewed Arkham Horror, the card game, which is a living card game from Fantasy Flight Games. It's very cool. It takes what I liked from Arkham Horror, what I liked from Eldritch Horror, condenses it, makes it just a card game, of course, and gives you a lot of story in there as well. I enjoyed the amount of immersion that they were able to put in the game. It's fun, though it definitely needs more expansions. I assume they're coming, but, you know, very soon you are going to need those. And then I reviewed Avenue, which was the big surprise for me. Avenue is a small, simple little game in which you draw on your own sheet of paper. You make paths. You try to connect grapes to different little palaces you are delivering them to. Really light, simple, but fantastic. Such a fun game. It reminds me of Karuba a little bit. It has that sort of same vibe with building roads, and you do your own thing. Everybody does their own thing. But, wow, just really light, cute, engaging, attractive, fantastic game. Really enjoyed it. So, that was Avenue. And that's it for me. I will see you next time.
I'm Jason Peacock from Jason Talks About Games YouTube channel. This week I reviewed Karmaka, a 2 to 4 player racing card game where players compete to reach Transcendency the First. It's a fine game to play over coffee, but being a racing game and the player starting first having a distinct one-turn advantage kind of put me off. The artwork is great, and it's very portable and inexpensive. Check out my review.
Well, first of all of us took a look at Spyfall. This was our final review of Spyfall. We pretty much put the game aside. We played through 20 plus hours of it and did not feel like we wanted to continue. We did look at everything else just in case we missed something fantastic. The game certainly gets better as time goes by, but it's a whole lot of really cool stuff that they spread over 40, 50 hours, well, probably longer than that, worth of gaming. And it just did not ramp up. We just were not that thrilled by the game, but we go into much more detail in our video. Other than that, a lot of sixes this week. We'll start with Qubosity. This is a party game where you roll a bunch of big giant dice that have logos or categories on them, and then you have a letter with a timer, and you just have to grab one of the cubes and say, you know, what this is something that starts with a S, okay, and then a movie title starts with an S, and Shawshank Redemption, and you grab that cube. The next person has a snack and salt and vinegar potato chips, and so they're just grabbing these cubes doing that. It's a pretty fun party game. Game of Thrones, the Iron Throne. This is based on Cosmic Encounter. Game of Thrones, Iron Throne is one of those games in which you are taking one of the families of this is based on the HBO TV show, Game of Thrones, and you are trying to have the most power, the most influence, spread your influence out. Very similar to Cosmic Encounter in a lot of ways, but if you've never played Cosmic Encounter, I think the game is kind of self-contained. It has a lot of differences. It's not nearly as good as Cosmic, but I think people will enjoy it because the theme is pretty strong. Kaleidos, this is a reprint of a much older game where you are looking at basically a big giant picture full of a kabillion things, and then you got to find things that start with the letter T and write them down and try to write down things other people don't. So it's kind of a mix of categories and picture. Honestly, it's not as good as either one of those, but it's okay, thus the rating. Four Gods. This is speed. Yeah, you'll notice that there's no title on the box. The box cover is really cool, but it's like speed Carcassonne. Playing tiles as quickly as you can. It's kind of unique, and it's a thinky speed game as you're putting them out, trying to form different things, put out profits, control regions. I like it, but I think the audience is limited because I think the number of people who want to play Carcassonne fast is not that big. Gobbit. It's another speed game. This one, though, is more of a silly speed where you flip things over, and then anyone flip over a chameleon, which can eat a fly, or a snake, which can eat a chameleon, but they have to match the colors, and you're slapping things around the table. Your hand might get slapped by somebody else, but silly fun. Gobbit. Blood Bowl. Now, Sam has been talking about this one for a long time. Never played it. This is the newest version of Blood Bowl coming out very soon from Games Workshop. Still has a little bit of that 80s and 90s feel to it, and still has a good chunk of luck as you roll dice and see what happens, and it's basically a football game where you get to punch the other people a lot. It's cool. I liked it. It was very fun. I think my rating for it would go higher if I played through a campaign and got different players on my team and saw the Skaven armies and the Dwarven armies. So this one might change as time goes by. Macroscope. This is a game in which you have a picture and you're slowly taking off the different parts of that and looking and then eventually saying, oh, that is a piece of pizza, as you look at the different pictures. And so that's kind of fun. There's almost too many rules in the game for what it is, but you can just take them right out and play the game normally. Around the World in 80 Days. This is from Yellow. This is a reprint of Heron Tortoise, the first Spiel des Jahres winner. It is a racing game that's a thinky, mathy racing game as you try to play cards to move forward or move backwards to basically get more currency to move forward. So it's back a little bit, forward a lot, back a little bit, forward a lot. And that trying to figure out the best ratio is what makes the game a lot of fun. Great looking game too. Aeon's End. If you ever played Sentinels of the Multiverse, this is essentially Fantasy Sentinels of the Multiverse. If you never played that, this is a cooperative game in which each player has their own hero. They have a little deck that they're building, and they're fighting against one big nasty villain who's going to be popping up little guys and casting evil spells and trying to destroy your town, and you're trying to work together as a team to stop him. Graphic design is but the game itself is really, really fun. Star Wars Destiny. This is the new collectible card and dice game from Fantasy Flight. I took a look at this one with Sam. Sam didn't like it as much as me, but I really find it enjoyable. The CCG doesn't put me off at all, although you do have to buy a good chunk of it, I think, to get into the game. The starter decks are fine. It's fast, it's simple, it's light, it's tactical, and it feels like Star Wars. And it also has stuff from all the different movies, which I found that interesting. And finally, Spyfall 2. Despite the fact that they still aren't including player aids in Spyfall, and it's essentially just Spyfall again with different pictures, except they have 2 spies in this one. It's amazing. Spyfall's always been a great game. Trying to guess what location you're at if you're the spy, or trying to figure out who the spy is. It's a great, hilarious game to watch, but also very, very entertaining to play.